Well, the day has come. My struggles of no toilet will be no more in a couple of hours, hopefully, as long as everything goes right. So I have everything I need. You know, the big thing we were waiting on was to have the floor down before we did this. The floor is down, it's grouted, it's done. Like I mentioned before, it would be nice if I could hang sheetrock first, but I'm not going to wait that much longer. I can't sheetrock till I insulate, and I can't insulate till I add all my blocking. I still have to put my exhaust vent in. I can't remember if I mentioned, I think I mentioned that. Maybe a lot of people missed it. Yeah, but I am putting an exhaust vent in here, an electric one. That's something that a lot of people have brought up a bunch of times. I've had it for a long time. It's sitting right there, but I just haven't taken the time to punch the hole through the roof and wire it up. But that's going to be one of my next things. But I got to put that in. I got to add a lot of blocking all over the place. I got to do a lot of insulating, and then I can hang sheetrock. So I'm not waiting till all that's done before I install the toilet. So I'm putting the toilet in now, and I'm just going to figure it out later, finishing behind it. The toilet's not very big, so I think it'll be easy to get back behind it. This is a tankless toilet that I'm putting in here, so it doesn't have the big tank on the top. And this is actually I can't remember the manufacturer of it, but I'll find it and put it in the description or something. But it's well, actually, I got the instruction manual right here. Let me see if it says. All it says is intelligent toilet. This is definitely a Chinese product. It wasn't cheap. I got it from Lowe's. Lowe's or Home Depot, I can't remember. One of the two. But it's called, product name, Intelligent Toilet, model TO3. I don't know who the manufacturer is, it doesn't say. But I hope it's decent. Like I mentioned before, if it's a disaster, I'll just replace it with something else. But the reviews were good on it. It had a lot of reviews. Reviews were good. Well, I figured I'd try it. I believe I have everything I need. So what I'm going to start with is I got my oscillating saw. I finally remembered to bring it home for once. I'm going to get this pipe cut off at the floor, and the toilet came with a flange, so I figure I'll just use that one. And a wax ring. It looks like it came with basically everything except the valve. So, may as well get started. That's why I keep earplugs in my pocket. I should have just started off with these. I ought to make it a habit to just put these in anytime I use one of these saws. They're so crazy loud. It's got all kinds of features, and I do not remember what features it has. But here's the wax ring and flange that it came with. And then it's got this T-valve. And it has battery backup since it uses electricity in order to flush. It uses batteries as a backup so that if you ever do lose power, it can still flush. Okay, it is several hours later. The flange that the toilet came with is too small for the pipe, or it's just a little bit. It's 3.5, and this pipe's 4-inch. So I went and got a 4-inch flange. This fits in there really tight, actually. Kind of seems wrong to me still, but I guess that's right. It definitely goes in there. It's just tight. So I'm gonna have to probably knock it down with a mallet. But I do have to. This has a cap I have to knock out, and then I guess there's nothing stopping me from going ahead and gluing it in there. I think I'm gonna knock that cap out of there first. I don't want to put it in there and then knock it out and have pieces falling down in there. The good thing about this being all new is that I'm not working with a disgusting drain pipe that's been used before. Everything is fresh, so. Wow, you gotta hit that hard. Okay, that's more like what I was expecting. Okay, I think I need to get my 4-foot level, so I've got a straight edge to go across these studs since I don't have a sheetrock wall there to measure off of to make sure that I'm getting this straight. I don't know if it matters that much with this toilet because it actually, I don't think it anchors to the flange at all like most toilets do. It actually has some blocks that you screw down and then pin through these holes, which is weird. Everything about this thing's weird. Okay, so that gives me a straight line across all those studs to measure off of. Okay, got all those holes marked. Got to be really careful not to break this tile that is glued down now, because man, I would not want to have to replace this thing. Okay, so they sent this template that you put directly over your drain pipe and then make sure that it's square off the wall, and that is exactly 5 1/4 at each spot. I'm not sure that I can drill precisely enough that I don't move this template, so I'm going to just Sharpie these holes and then drill them. Man, this tile on the left is getting everything that can happen done to it. It's got the notch cut in it, already got 4 holes drilled in it, it's 2 more holes drilled in it. I hope nothing happens to it. I'm going to start off with a different bit because that tip, it's still drilling okay, but I don't know about starting a hole. The tip is broke off. Get these started with another one and then switch to that. Alright, before something regrettable happens, go ahead and get a cup of water here to cool this drill bit off. If that tip, I'm sure you can't see it, but if that spade tip on this drill bit breaks off in that hole, man, it sucks trying to get it out of there. And it's not like you can just not put a screw in the hole or move it. That's the spot it's got to be in. Alright, I may just have to use a shorter screw in that one. I wasn't even thinking about it earlier when I was sticking that shop vac down that drain. I've got a paper towel shoved in the sink drain over here to stop the sewer gas. And I thought about it when I drove off. I was thinking, you know, I stuck that down there. I'm sure it created suction to all the drains, and it did pull that paper towel in there. I'm really glad it didn't pull it all the way. Of course, there's a decent chance I could have kept poking this down in there, and I may have eventually sucked it out and around and up this pipe and into the shop vac, but I would rather not have to deal with all that. Okay, I'm going to use some pretty small little tile plugs here. Like I said, I'm just really not wanting to break this tile. Get my mallet. I'm not using the plugs that they sent. I'm using stuff, the same ones I use at work. The ones I get at the bolt and screw store. And I'm going to beat these. So I'm using the small plugs and the ones that are kind of ending up in the tile, because I think they might be a little bit too small for the screws. Like I said, I'm just scared for them to expand into the tile. I'm going to cut them off, or I'm using some bigger plugs, some appropriately sized plugs for a 1/4 inch hole for these blocks that this toilet mounts to. So that's what I'm trying to explain, is that since this toilet doesn't mount to the flange, I don't think the flange needs to be like structurally mounted. I mean, it's still going to be very strong with even with those plugs, but I'm just doing what I can to try to make sure I don't break this tile, like I've mentioned several times. Take this bad drill bit and beat those plugs down until they're through the tile and only in the concrete. And that way the ones that I'm putting big screws in that are expanding a lot, they're not expanding into the tile at all, they're only expanding into the concrete. Everything looks correct. Except for the way that that's not going down all the way. Great. Alright, I am not going to lie, this is one of those projects where just every single step of the process is not going good. I can't even get this glove on. Putting it on backwards 3 times now. Okay, so the toilet came with one of these, like, hybrid wax rings. Some people say, a lot of people, at least, say that these are really good. I've seen a lot of plumbers, though, say that these are really bad, because I guess if you ever have to... I was reading, a guy was saying, if the toilet ever has to be... I don't know, cleaned. I can't think of the specific word. I want to say augured, but that doesn't seem right. But you know when they send that machine down in there to clean a line, he said that this plastic will catch that and destroy it. So I've also seen some people say that it's a good idea to buy a separate wax ring. You see I have 2 here. And it's a good idea to just destroy one and smear it all over this whole area and smear it all over the flange and then put the wax ring on the toilet and then set it on there, because it kind of creates more of a seal. You're not just relying on the wax wing compressing and squishing out because there's already wax for it to seal to. So I've seen more than one guy say that these are kind of a bad idea. I see the appeal to it because it kind of lines itself up as you set it on there, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sacrifice this wax ring to be my extra sealant ring. That is not as easy to pull off of there as I thought it was going to be. And I'm going to do the extra wax application technique using this one. And then, because I saw a lot of guys, a lot of plumbers were saying the old school wax rings are sufficient. They've been working for 100 million years. So there's no reason why it needs to switch to someone with plastic that has those issues, where if you ever have to have your drain lines drilled out, it gets destroyed. And I can see how that could happen. I can see how it could get hooked. And if it hooks that, it would pull it and rip and tear the seal, and then you'd need a new wax ring, and no one wants to replace that because that is disgusting. It seems like the consensus is that it's better to apply the wax ring to the toilet and then set it on there rather than the flange. From my research so far. So that's what I'm going to do. That's what the instructions say to do too. Alright, so you see, I'm not turning the camera so that you can see the flange, but I did the same thing as what you see here. I got too much stuff on my hands to touch anything right now. But so now, I will hopefully, without damaging this wax ring, get it out of its packaging. Pull here to remove. That works great. Okay, surely they could come up with a better way to package these things in such a delicate, important item. You don't want to misshape these things too much. Okay. So you can see it kind of just creates a nice sealant layer for it to attach to on both sides. Okay. So here is my toilet valve, my quarter turn valve. I got this one because it's what they had. It is a toolless install, which kind of scares me, but it's the only one that I could get. I would have preferred, it's a no crimping required install, which, you know, I have the crimping tool, so I would have not minded getting one that I know was going to work, but they didn't have them. So this is what I have. It's got two connections I need to Teflon, and my roll of Teflon tape is all messed up. I'm trying to see if I can fix that. Okay, there we go. That looks like a good proper roll of Teflon again. This stuff, there seems to be an art to it. And I am wrapping that the correct way. To tighten all these connectors at the same time. That's the technique right there. Grab it like a pair of handlebars, twist them both. Alright, that did not end up being straight. Nice. Get all this tub scratching stuff off. So this T came with the toilet, and then this is the typical quarter turn valve that you would put on. This is a meant for PEX one. It slides into the PEX, and then it has like a, somewhere around here, there's like a crush washer and a nut that threads over, tightens down, crimps it on. I hope it works good. I guess there's probably no reason why I couldn't just crimp that on with a crimp ring. If it leaks, maybe that's what I'll do, but we'll see. We'll see if this works first. So I'm going to cut this long because I'm going to be taking this back off eventually. Whenever I'm sheetrocking, I'm going to have to disconnect this and slide sheetrock back behind it. So I'm just going to cut it like way out here. So that means I'm also not going to put on my little decorative cap in line right now, because there's no point, because it'll just be coming right back off. So it's just going to be PEX for now. Okay, now I think we're ready to set the toilet on there. Alright, so you can tell I applied lots of wax to the flange. These are the two little mounting bracket things that the toilet bolts to. Let's see if I can hopefully set this thing in place without dropping it, because you can't hardly get a hold of anything on this thing. Looks like we're getting lots of wax ring compression. Alright, well, last night did not go very well. You can see I got the toilet on there, it looks installed, but it's not, nothing's right. That flange, I didn't cut the pipe short enough so the flange wouldn't slide all the way down. I thought maybe it would work. I thought maybe we could just kind of take up the gap with more compression on the wax ring. It didn't, so then the toilet was off the ground, and I pushed some shims around it. I thought maybe I could caulk it, and you wouldn't be able to tell, leaving the back open, of course. But I guess in all of the wiggling and pushing and compressing I did, thinking that maybe I was compressing the wax ring, I think I just destroyed the wax ring. And then I left it hooked up for just a minute, and it just started leaking like crazy, so I turned the water supply off. So we gotta redo it. I gotta cut that, I gotta take the toilet off, I gotta cut that flange off, put a new flange on that's actually seated far enough, and we gotta do everything again. The only thing that went good was the water hookup. No leaks there or anything, but I've got that turned off. And since this is just a completely clean toilet, I'm just gonna shop vac the water out of it. Yeah, I can see why that would leak. The toilet flange sticking up so far just made all the wax squeeze completely off, where it wasn't getting a seal to that flange at all. Okay, so as you saw there, got the old flange out. Cut the pipe down a little bit shorter so this new flange actually does sit all the way into or onto the tile. That was, I don't know if I explained that a minute ago, but that was the problem, is this part of the pipe was a little bit too high, and it was holding the flange up off the tile about 3/8 of an inch. And I decided to just go with it and see if I could make it work, and it didn't, because it put the toilet up so high that it pressed down so tight on this flange that it's just squeezed all the wax out, and then it wasn't getting a seal. So now that we're down that much lower, hopefully that doesn't happen. I think this time, if it does feel like it's not going all the way down, I'm just going to go ahead and support the toilet with some shims instead of pushing and working and forcing it. I think that's where I messed it up, which I didn't really want the toilet to be up that high anyway, but I think it was me. I wiggled it around and pushed it back and forth a bunch, and I think I was just scraping, or I don't think I was scraping all the wax off and then into the hole, and that eventually led to no seal from the wax. The new flange I got is also a little bit longer, so even though I cut some of the pipe off, it's still going to get plenty of contact with that pipe down inside of there. And I would hate to drop one of these brushes down in that pipe. I don't know if these are magnetic or not. I don't know if I could stick a magnet down in there and recover it, or if it would just be a lost cause, and that could definitely potentially cause a clog. We did it. It is not leaking. I've flushed it probably like 20 times. I've looked all over the place with the flashlight. There's no water coming out from under it, so it worked. That worked that time. Nothing like doing it twice. Took it for granted. I really figured this would be like an easy part of the process, but this has been, I'm not going to say it's been the hardest part, but it's been a serious hassle. Serious mental strain on me. We have made it. Let's see, how many months was that? I guess it was only about 2.5 months living with no toilet. Wasn't as bad as I thought, but I hope to never do it again. And I hope nothing goes wrong with this. Not as frustrated with this toilet as I was earlier, but it's still on a hair trigger for me. If it starts giving me much problems, it's gone, because it's nice. All the features are working on it. I still don't really understand it, but it does work. It's got a anti-slam lid, flushes automatically. Oh, it's got a light. There's a light in there. I don't know. It's pretty nice, but it doesn't really seem durable to me. I kind of feel like that stuff's gonna be breaking on it and messing up all the time. And I don't like that there's no like manual flush option if something goes wrong, because it's electronic. It's electronics that control all that. So that you can push the button on the side to flush it, but if like the electronics on the inside mess up, there's no like manual override. So I don't know, it makes me nervous. But I'm not gonna put up with a janky, not working toilet if it's giving me a lot of trouble. It'll be gone, and I'll just buy a regular old one. But here we finally are. Next up is going to be adding the exhaust vent, and I've got one more outlet to put in. I'm going to go ahead and add another outlet over here to just kind of specifically for a space heater, because I think this bathroom's definitely going to always need it during the winter. And then it'll be blocking for the tile and tub, and towel rail, toilet paper holder, that kind of stuff. Camping this upcoming weekend, so I won't make any progress there. That's finally over with. Hope you guys enjoyed the video a little bit. Most annoying part of the process, but so far, by far, I'm fed up. I was fed up. Another pretty good mistake by me. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.